Okarun finds the legendary Turbo Granny, an encounter which would one day save the world. You see, she's a yokai famously known as the 100km/h Granny, who once roamed the streets of Japan terrorizing people. Yet surprisingly, she also comforted the restless spirits of girls who had met tragic and untimely deaths. But why the name Turbo Granny? Well, she's inspired by the real-life Japanese folklore tale, the Turbo Granny.
Damn, that's crazy.
You see, the legend is of an old woman who drives super fast on highways at night. She suddenly appears behind drivers, tailgating them, flashing her lights and honking her horn. In some versions of the story, if she catches up to you, she'll either make you crash or run you off the road. No one knows exactly where the story started, but it's believed to be a warning against reckless driving. And even though it's just a story, Turbo Granny has become popular in Japan, with people sharing it online and being used in both books and movies. In fact, you probably know her from Mob Psycho. Nonetheless, in Dandadan, her story is taken the extra mile, because as she wandered, she eventually encountered an earthbound spirit within a tunnel in Shono City, which led to a fusion, creating an even more formidable entity. Thus, whoever entered this tunnel got cursed by Turbo Granny when she stole their reproductive organs. You see where this is going, right? To Okarun's shock, when he encountered Turbo Granny, she offered him a chance to suckle on her chest in exchange for gobbling on his meat.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Now, understandably, Okarun ran for his life, but that was the wrong choice. I mean, come on, her name is Turbo Granny. Obviously, she's gonna catch you. Having the abilities to curse humans, the yokai ended up partially possessing Okarun. You see, her curse is triggered if she successfully catches her victims attempting to flee from her in fear. By winning the race, Turbo Granny can then take possession of their reproductive organs, and so, RIP to Okarun's Kintama. But that was just the beginning of their problems, as by possessing his body, Turbo Granny teleported herself to Momo's location through their phones when Momo called for help. However, Turbo Granny went completely berserk and began to uncontrollably attack the Serpo that were holding Momo captive. This kind of backfired though, as Turbo Granny was subsequently forced out of Okarun's body by Momo, who accidentally unlocked her psychic powers due to the Serpos overstimulating her brainwaves. Hence, the Granny challenged Momo to lift the boy's curse by returning to the tunnel. 2 days later, Turbo Granny became aware that Momo was undergoing a rigorous training in order to confront the yokai. Hence, she demanded that Momo come to the tunnel that night, threatening to kill all who had seen Okarun, including her grandmother. With no other option, Momo complied with the Turbo Granny's demand and accompanied Okarun to the tunnel. However, she trapped them from both sides and prepared to attack. Nevertheless, at this moment, Momo challenged her to a game of tag. Turbo Granny then agreed to count to 10 minutes for Momo and Okarun to escape. In spite of this, she realized that Momo was trying to trick her. Thus, the yokai activated her Una reverse card and played Momo, explaining how they had not specified how Turbo Granny should count, and so she twisted the rules in her favor, trapping Momo. In spite of this, Okarun charges in to save her, launching himself into the air, demanding that he suckle on Turbo Granny's titties.
What?
As he takes one big chomp on them, the yokai screams out in pain. Furthermore, she couldn't shake him off. He was stuck to her teats due to the special clothes Okarun received from Momo's grandmother. Thus, with her strength sapped away, Turbo Granny was left with no choice but to revert to her spirit form and seize control of Okarun's body in order to devour Momo, only for her to use her psychic powers to trap the yokai within Okarun. And so as they attempted to flee Shono City, Turbo Granny demanded help from the earthbound crab and other spirits from a massive graveyard to block their escape route. However, utilizing Turbo Granny's speed, Okarun unlocked what would become his iconic powers and managed to dash through the crowd. But in the process, he'd become exhausted, and Momo momentarily lost her grip on Turbo Granny, who was finally free to then merge with the bound crab spirit for revenge. In spite of this, Turbo Granny was shocked to see Momo use her psychic powers to latch onto a moving train to deliberately lead her to Kamigawa City, where her grandmother had set up a mystic barrier that could exorcise any yokai trapped inside. And so in a last-ditch effort, Turbo Granny reverted to her astral form and secretly transferred herself into Okarun's body before she could be completely exorcised. However, once Okarun noticed that his willy was back but was still missing his balls,
Man, Coco. Where's my cock?
He headed straight to Momo and her grandmother to find out that there was still a spirit living in him. With Turbo Granny still exhausted and weak, Momo and Psycho finally managed to drive her out of Okarun's body and into a lucky Maneki Neko or cat doll. This helped Turbo Granny unlock another new ability, luck. You see, this is because Maneki Neko are said to bestow good luck to others, which is exactly the power Turbo Granny inherited from it. However, even in this cat form, she tries to run away only to be caught by Momo. To make matters worse for her, Okarun transformed and revealed that all of her abilities were stuck with him. Initially, he could only activate it whilst under the curse's influences, aided by Momo's psychokinetic abilities to suppress the granny's control. However, with the yokai's powers permanently infused within him, Okarun soon gained the ability to transform willingly. In chapter 165, once he finally obtained both of his balls, Okarun departed with the powers given to him. Turbo Granny completed her contract by helping him find his Kintama and had been given back her old life and powers. In doing so, her bloodlust was felt by everyone and was so intense that even the evil eye was called upon for help. However, while she initially wanted to kill Momo and Okarun after getting back her powers, now she sets off on her own adventure, leaving them alone. But why? Well, we have to remember that Turbo Granny isn't evil. She's a total sex pest, granted. However, her goal is to help others, specifically young girls such as Momo.